Okay, I'll ask you a kind of easy question. When did you know that you wanted to do this for a living?
Oh boy. I think it was something that just evolved, when I was little, I loved the idea of being on TV or being in movies or things like that. I think most kids kind of go through that phase. Well, that phase never really left me. And the way that I actually got my first opportunity ever, it was a volunteer opportunity. And it was with, the local cable company. They would bring in volunteers or let you apply to be a volunteer, and if you were able to sign up for it, they had different things. You could learn production, like television production, how to operate a camera. They would normally put on weekly television shows, and I got to be a host on one of those shows. And then it got bigger, and there were two of us. We were co-hosting this show, and again, that was volunteer, but I treated it like my other job. And it was hard to watch back for the first time. It was really hard to watch. But I found that by watching myself, I was able to critique myself and help teach myself to get better and better. So volunteer opportunity is what really got me in the door. That put me in a position to hire for a part-time weekend weather anchor position at the local TV station, a paid job. And I got it. So we put together a demo, and I took it in, and I ended up auditioning. I had no idea I was going to be auditioning for this. I didn't really think I'd get the job. I was just more curious to see inside the TV station, get a tour of it. That's what I was going to walk away with. I ended up walking away with a part-time job doing weather anchoring. They taught me a lot, and then I furthered my education by studying atmospheric sciences at Penn State University.
Wow.
And yeah, before you know it, this sort of rolled into, now I was doing, full-time 6 and 11 weather anchoring for three television stations out of one building. And I did that for a number of years. And it was always fun for the local radio stations to have, the weather anchor come in and co-host when they needed an extra body in the studio. And that's how I learned radio, by doing that. So I do radio on the side for fun, television full time. Then, over the years, they kind of flipped. Now I'm doing radio full time and television on the side for fun. I work for Global Edmonton and Global Calgary. When they need a little extra help, I'll run down on my days off and help them out and do the weather for them 6 and 11. So that's sort of
Okay.
how it blossomed. That's the track that my career path took.
Right. And what have you learned from any mistakes you've made on the job? How did you adapt and become better?
I had the advice. I don't know how many people would know his name now, but in the industry, when I was coming up, there was a guy by the name of Moses Neimer, who was really the reason City TV in Toronto, Ontario became the mammoth station that it was. His ideas, his thinking, his formatting, throwing away the conventional television formula. And I worked for the station that he oversaw. And I remember him giving me two pieces of advice. One was, it doesn't matter if you've made a mistake, it's how you correct the mistake.
Hmm.
And sometimes that's lighthearted. Be memorable. It doesn't mean that a mistake is bad. It just, be memorable, and it's how you correct that mistake. The other piece of advice that he gave me was, when you're either clipped to a microphone or behind a microphone, know that you're talking to a friend. You may have never met them, but know that you're talking to a friend. And that will translate and come through. If you are genuine that way, it'll be genuinely received. And I think that was probably the best pieces of advice that I could have ever received. I have made so many mistakes. And in the communications business, to trip over your tongue is one of the ones, you just, in your head, you're just going, oh, did I really do that? It's not that you've made the mistake, it's how you recover from the mistake, as long as you are memorable. And
Right.
sometimes those mistakes are the biggest memory people have of you. I still have people coming up to me from, 10 years ago, you said this or you did that. And they remember that from 10 years ago. And I'm thinking, that's right. I did forgot all about it because there are so many that pile on. We're human, mistakes happen, and just know and learn from it. And again, if it's an audio career like radio is, listen back, listen back. Some people say the hardest thing to do is to listen to yourself or to watch yourself. Would be my advice to do exactly that every opportunity you get. You'll hear the things that you don't want to continue. You'll hear your mistakes, maybe the way you pose a question or the way your voice undulates, or if it's on television, the way that you physically move. There may be something about that you're noticing and picking up that you can correct, and that's how you can teach yourself and fix those kinds of errors that you don't want to carry on.
Right. Okay. So,
There is a thing that
sorry.
I touch on quickly, and that is how to deal with your audience. Some people, they just want something to say to you. They just want to talk to you. And so they'll say anything to you. And you may wonder why they would say that to you when they don't even really know you. People are funny that way. Some people are very critical. Some people are remarkably supportive, no matter what you do or how many times you stumble or how many times you get it wrong. But just remember that people can be very direct in good ways and in bad ways. I live with taking the best of what I've heard, the worst of what I've heard, throw them both out and live somewhere in the middle.
Right. Those are some good answers.
Good, good. I hope they're helpful.
Oh, they are. What do you consider your greatest strength to be in the business?
Happy. You have to
Okay.
be a happy person because it'll chew you up and spit you out if you're not. You have to be flexible. You have to be willing to skin your knees and get back up again and keep walking. If you are that kind of person, then you'll have longevity in a career like this for sure. But I think happiness would apply to any career, really. If you're happy within yourself, you enjoy what you're doing, then it's no longer a job. It's just what you do.
Right.
Makes a big difference.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Would you consider yourself to be more of a teamwork kind of person or a solo individual?
A lot of what I do is solo. When I have my radio show, I'm doing that all by myself. There isn't somebody else in there pushing the buttons for me. And if you've listened to my show on Real Country 95.5, you'll know some days I really need somebody else pushing the buttons. But it's I work solo, and likewise when I'm doing the weather, I build those graphics by myself. I run the program by myself, and then I present it by myself.
Mhm.
So what I do is very solo, but oh my goodness, there's a whole team environment, and it would be pretty boring if I wasn't working with a team collectively. So I guess I'm both. I guess I'm
Okay.
both, and sometimes that happens, but I sure do enjoy it.
Right. And did you have a fallback career or any kind of other options if this did not pan out for you?
Yes, actually, I was before I got into this, I was a certified dental assistant.
Oh, wow.
Uh, yeah, I'm also an esthetician. Mind you, I haven't practiced those skills for quite some time, but so yes, I did have other things in my back pocket in case this didn't turn out. And I have to tell you, when I was first offered that weekend weather job, it changed in a phone call. It changed my world. And then I was almost terrified to take it. Like I was almost terrified to accept it because, oh my goodness, what have I done? you know and thought I would never have another opportunity like this. So I'm glad that I wasn't afraid. Well, I was afraid, but I'm glad it didn't stop me from accepting that position because it really did change my world.
Right. Awesome. Um, so you said you worked a bit here and there. Where was your most memorable and favorite place you've worked?
Where I am right now.
Okay.
Yeah, right now. It's home. We've had some real characters pass through that building, both behind the microphone and in offices. But the friendships that have been established here, well, they're just incredible. So it definitely, hands down, where I am right now is where I'm happiest.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Have you met type, any people that you would consider celebrity or famous during your time?
Oh, sure. Now let me see. Television. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All the names. All the names. You know what? Let's go with radio first. Radio. Tim McGraw, Chris Young, Garth Brooks, Lainey Wilson, who is a new artist now. Um, so many. So, I'm drawing blanks, but so many of them. I have been so lucky to meet these people. Lee Bryce, I emceed for him just the last time we had the Ponoka Stampede when he was there. And that was just before the world shut down,
Hmm.
right? So that one. And it was raining so hard. The chuck wagons had already been through. The mud was, oh, it had to be half a foot deep in mud with water on top of that. They were hauling the stage out, and Mr. Bryce was nice enough to invite me over to where they were all waiting, where it was dry and warmer. So as we're hanging out there chatting, he notices that they've got this huge piece of farm equipment hauling the stage across the back field to get it into position, and he loved it. He couldn't believe it. He'd never seen anything like that before in all his touring, and so he was putting it up on his Instagram, and I bombed his Instagram account. So we had a lot of fun with that, and I've talked to him since, and he remembers that, and he remembers us here in Central Alberta, and he remembers the rain, and he remembers that it was a packed house. And so yeah, that was a fun story. It was fun for me anyway. um there are so many people. There are so many people that I've met over the years. It even surprises me sometimes when I think back, like, wow, I really did that. Wow. I had the greatest conversation with Tim McGraw. um he was all prepared to talk about his new music and all these things, and I'd asked him some questions that he said that he'd never been asked before. Like,
Hmm.
if you weren't working today and you had a day just to yourself, what would be your favorite go-to thing to do?
Right.
And boy, he took off into the laughing and the conversations. He goes spear fishing with his bare hands, diving in the ocean. He does all of these things. I hit him with rapid fire questions. We had a lot of fun. We ended up really laughing hard. And that was a good time. And then I'd asked him if he had any plans of anything in TV or film. And at that time, he said he was looking at something, but he wasn't able to discuss it yet. As it turns out, that something was what's been streaming now with 1883. Him and his
Oh,
wife.
okay.
Yeah, so he wasn't allowed to talk about it with me at the time, but as it turns out, that was the project that he had in front of him. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Do you see yourself going anywhere else in the future for your job? If any opportunities arise, or are you happy where you are?
I'm happy right where I am. I've had offers. I've had stations get a hold of me, radio stations, TV stations get a hold of me and ask me if I would consider joining them. And it would require maybe a short move, maybe no move, maybe a big move, and I have respectfully declined because, I love where I live. This is home, and I don't have to chase it.
Right.
There are some people, they'll take this opportunity like this and always look to go bigger, bigger, bigger. And I don't blame them. But the truth is that where I'm at is where I want to be. This is what I would have chased right where I am. So no, I have no plans of being enticed to go anywhere. I don't think that's possible. I'm just happy right where I am.
Awesome. Last kind of career question for you. Is there anything you would do differently or change in your career, or are you happy with what you've accomplished?
Well, I think there have been times along the way where I'd thought, gee, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I should have taken this opportunity, or I should have stayed there a little bit longer, or those things at the time. But the truth is, looking back, every decision I made led me to where I am right now in my life. And I am right where I want to be. So I have no regrets at all. But along the way, I questioned myself at times, sure. But looking back, I don't.
Awesome. That's a really good answer.
Thank you.
So I'm going to switch it up a little bit to give you a more Q&A kind of session where I ask some questions about you just to get to know you a little bit more.
Sure.
Okay, what are some of your hobbies?
Gardening. I love to garden. I love working in my yard. I have a lot of bird feeders around my place. So I sort of bird watch, but without the binoculars. I have two very large dogs. One is 165 pounds, the other is 120 pounds. And I like to take them out for runs. And so they consume a lot of my time, but that's okay. I love spending the time with them. So if any one of those things aren't available, then I'll get into baking or cooking.
Awesome. Do you like to travel?
I do. I haven't done a lot of it lately, and only because life gets in the way, you know. But there are still places on our bucket list that I'd like to go. I'd like to go to Italy. I'd like to go back to Great Britain. I'd like to go to the Mediterranean. You know, some friends at work are Australian, and they just got back from Australia, and again, and said you have to go. So I think I'll put Australia on that bucket list as well.
Awesome. Uh, what would you consider your greatest accomplishment in your life to be?
Wow, that's a big one. Do you know, and this would be the truth, what I have found, and I consider myself blessed, very fortunate. I have found that my listeners and my viewers are so remarkably loyal and so remarkably kind to me. I I think to be in the business this long and to have that in your heart is quite an accomplishment. You know, I rarely run into situations that make me uncomfortable with my listeners or my viewers. Like I said, they're so supportive and they're so kind. I think that's a huge accomplishment because not everybody can say that, and I can, and I'm proud of that.
That's a great answer, and you have every right to be proud of that because you've built a
Thank you.
really good legacy,
Thank you, Dylan. I appreciate that.
of course. Uh, um, do you have an idol or someone you kind of inspired to be when you were growing up and doing this job?
Do you know, there were a couple of people on the local TV station when I was looking at how do I do what they're doing, and so they were good. But then, honestly, when I heard of Barbara Walters' story, her story of perseverance and endurance, she was endurance. Sorry, she was the first female national co-anchor,
Mhm.
and she was met with a lot of friction. She was met with a lot of resistance, even from her colleague. And so it was her story that really made me go, wow. And I was almost afraid to even take that first part-time job and look at what she did in a time when it wasn't done.
Right.
So she had a big impact. I like knowing the stories of the people that I think I know, you know, the people that I watch on TV. I'd
Mhm.
like to know their stories. So if there are biographies out there like that, either reading them or watching them, um, I find inspiration from their stories of perseverance, what it was they were up against, and just how hard they worked to get where they are. And I respect that so much. So there are a number of people, most of them were local at the time, but bigger ones like Barbara Walters and the like, absolutely.
Oh, okay, okay. Um, what is something that always makes you smile?
um, usually people, usually people. I get a lot of people who call me up regularly at the station, and it's like their daily check-in chat, you know, and there's always fun that I can derive from that. So that'll make me smile. A good joke will make me smile. Vinny and Randy in the morning always make me smile. So there are lots of things, but then as a happy person, I tend to smile a lot at things that people don't know. Why is she smiling? So, but I do. So lots of things make me smile.
I get that. I'm with you with that. What are you most thankful for?
My family, my family. Um, I don't have any children, but my parents growing up always encouraged me to do what I could, to go as far as I could, to find a way. If ever I was frightened or worried or scared, they sort of took that away from me through conversation and dialogue. And then I met the man that I married. And I'll tell you something, he is so supportive. And it's quite all right if I'm in the grocery store or wherever and somebody wants to stop and talk, somebody I don't know, he's quite patient and is happy to do so. So he's very supportive of me. But I've always taken it on like this. People say, well, why? Why would you give so much time? Why would you do that? If somebody's going to come up and say something to me in reference to my job, like, oh, hey, I listened to you on the radio, or hey, I watch you do the weather, or they want to talk about something like that, I may have heard it 50,000 times already, but for them, they're saying it the first time.
Right.
They deserve my attention just as much as the first person who ever said something to me. So doesn't matter if I've heard it 50,000 times, they're saying it for the first time. And I'm okay with that. And luckily, so is my husband. Very patient man. So I'm grateful for him.
Right. Awesome. What's your favorite holiday?
Sorry?
What is your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Why Christmas?
Christmas. There's something about it. It's not about gifts. It's not about how many presents. For me, it is about the giving and the gathering and the feeling of Christmas. That excitement.
Yeah.
Christmas, you know, and that lives with me throughout the Christmas season, and sometimes even beyond. But it's the food, the giving, the gathering of Christmas. If we could have it all year long, I'd be okay with that. But then maybe it wouldn't be as special as it is. So I'll hold my opinion on whether it should be all year long or not.
Okay, that makes sense. Uh, who would you say is your favorite band?
My favorite bands? Oh my goodness, that depends on which one's playing right now. You know, I don't think I have a single favorite.
Okay.
I love music. I love produced music like we have on the radio. I love live music. I know that Alabama was just announced as coming to the Calgary Stampede this year. When I'm playing Alabama, I love Alabama. So I don't think I could just pick one, like picking a favorite flower.
Okay. That makes sense. I'm with you with that. Do you have a favorite TV show or movie?
Yes, and it changes quite a bit. It depends on my mood. One of my all-time favorite movies has been The Godfather.
Mm-hmm.
I watch The Godfather every year. Sometimes I like rom-coms, you know, like You've Got Mail. It's like I'm only in the mood for that, or I'm only in the mood for Bridget Jones. But sometimes, right now, my favorite series is the Yellowstone series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I've heard it's pretty good.
Oh, Dylan, you've got to see it. You'll love it. I know you're a country boy. You will love it. Yeah, you'll love it. I'm not going to give away anything. And I've seen all of Yellowstone, waiting for the new season to come out. I've seen all of 1883 with Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, all of 1923 with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. Like I just anything Yellowstone, I'm all over it.
Okay, well, I guess I'll check it out.
Good, good. I hope you do. Let me know what you think.
Okay, I will. And one last question for you. What's one thing you wish you could do that you haven't done yet?
One thing I wish I could do that I haven't done yet. Hmm. Go spear fishing with Tim McGraw. That would be fun.
Oh, I bet it would be.
There you go.
Okay, that's a good answer. Fun answer and a good answer. And on our last little questions at the ending part here, is there anyone else or anyone in general you'd like to shout out or promote or anything like that?
Oh, you know what? Because I do afternoons on Real Country 95.5. And I used to do middays. And when I did middays, when it was about time for me to take over the mic and for Vinny and Randy to move away from it for the day, we would have this crossover where the three of us would be in studio and talking and laughing. And I really miss doing that because I don't get to see them as much anymore. So you know what, Vinny and Randy from The Real Wake Up, I definitely, oh, they're good friends, not only with each other, but with me too. We just don't see each other nearly as much as we'd like to anymore. And so absolutely, I'd like to give a shout out for them because they kind of start the day off so that it's already rolling by the time I get it there and then I can shut it down for the day. So yeah, to them for sure.
Awesome. And last question, is there anything else you'd like to chat about with me or in general while you have the floor, if you want to promote something or anything like that?
Oh, Dylan, as you get to know me more and more, you know I will never shut up. I could talk for hours and hours. But no, I want to thank you for this opportunity. When you brought it up to me, I thought this would really be fun. So I'm really glad that we were able to do this. Thank you for a great interview. And this was nice. And I know we've met over Zoom, and maybe in the near future we'll meet in person too.
Sounds like fun. You are really a bright person and such an amazing person, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to interview with me.
Oh, thank you, Dylan. This was a lot of fun.
I appreciate you and everything you've done, and I hope we can see each other in the future in person.
I think so. As your career starts rolling, you know, you bring coffee up to me at the station and we'll chat about it more. How's that?
Sounds great. Thank you so much again. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too, Dylan. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.